everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Purpose and Profit Sisterhood podcast. I am here today with my fun, wacky, wonderful, and wise guest, Frank King. And today we're going to be talking about putting your money where your mouth is and getting money out of your mouth. So that's a really interesting topic that I know lots of you are interested in, is how to get on TEDx stages, how to do more speaking, how to get in front of corporations and associations and other organizations like that. And Frank is the king of, see what I did there? The king of getting on stage all over the place. And has had a really interesting and fascinating background and career that we'll talk about briefly. So welcome, Frank. I'm glad you're here.
I am delighted. The audience has no idea all the permutations and combinations and machinations you and I went through, but
yeah,
hey,
exactly. Yes, exactly. And as you can see, he's in his car. Oh, well, if you can see this, if you're not listening to it. So this is what it's called, showing up no matter what. When you're a professional speaker, sometimes you do your podcast from a parking lot, because that's just how that rolls. All right. So I'm going to tell you the official word on Frank, and then we're going to find out the juicy tidbits behind the scene. And we're going to look right into, how do you put your money where your mouth is? So Frank King, suicide prevention speaker, was a writer for The Tonight Show for 20 years, a speaker and a comedian for 38. He fought a lifetime battle with depression and suicidality. Oh, that's a hard word. Turning that long, dark journey of the soul into 12, count them, 12 TEDx Talks, sharing his life-saving insights and associations. He survived 2 aortic valve replacements, done double bypass, heart attack, and losing to a puppet on Star Search. And about all of them. So, okay, you've got quite the story, my friend, and have been at this for quite a while. So first of all, tell us something, because you're obviously very open about your journey and your challenges and so forth. Tell us something people wouldn't guess about you from reading your website or your bio or something like that.
I am a master level bodybuilder. That's 67.
That's very cool. So tell us a little bit about that. So you started when?
Let's see. This July will be my 5th contest. I started in 2018, missed a couple of years because of the pandemic.
Right.
Part of the problem is when I'm dressed, you would never guess. People look at me funny when I tell them that. Yeah. So I thought maybe I'll write a book, Jeanette, called Undressed for Success. Look good naked.
So you started bodybuilding in 2018. What age were you?
I was 60. 18 was what? 6 years ago. I was 60. I was 60. 68. Was it 60? 61. 61.
Okay. What possessed you to start bodybuilding at 61?
Well, I'd wanted to do it since I was a kid back in the 60s, back when Charles Atlas had an advertisement for a bodybuilding, program in the back of comic books where the bully kicked sand in the kid's face on the beach.
Yep.
And but I realized, because I have really fine bones, no doubt the result of being from the South and lots of inbreeding, that I'm not going to be able to compete with the behemoths that at 20 or 30 or 40. But I thought, you know what? If I wait till I'm 60, I bet you everybody else will have given up. And that's pretty much the case. The last contest I did, there were 4 of us over 64, and it's an international federation. That was the largest group of contestants over 60 in the entire international. And so
there's some very smart business lessons in there and life lessons. 1, never give up on a dream. 2, be really smart about when you start it. And so 3, go where they're not. That's a piece of advice I give my clients all the time. Don't go to the red ocean, go to the blue ocean. So you just went, well, where will there be less competition? Let me go there. Then that's so smart. And has it been fun, interesting, hard? What's the journey been like for you?
All 3 things. My goal is, by the way, I think you should have a dream, a goal. My goal is to go professional. And that means I'll have to win what they call the overall. And the overall is anyone in the contest over 40, which is, that's 27 years my junior. However, a friend of mine, Charles, last year at 68, won the overall over 40 and got to go pro. I want my pro card. So I'm using him sort of as a model. I watched him pose,
Yeah.
He's my hero. So it is terrifying. I don't know if everybody has these dreams, but I have dreams occasionally where I'm out in public and I'm just wearing my underwear, and that for no apparent reason. And I'm lucky if I'm wearing my underwear. Sometimes I'm not wearing anything. But when you're on stage, I'm wearing posing trunks, which are essentially bikini panties. And I'm not just on stage standing there. You have to do a 1-minute routine to music. So you're sort of dancing. Now, bear in mind, there are only a couple hundred people in the audience. I opened up for Randy Travis one summer, 2 shows at an amphitheater in Michigan in front of 5,000 people each night and never broke a sweat. However, in front of 200 people in bikini panties, dancing around to music, it's terrifying. So,
I hear you. I actually entered into a weight loss reality show, reality heavy quotes on that, in Canada. And if you had ever told me I'd be seen in public in spandex bike shorts and a sports bra, I'd have laughed my ass off. Never mind on international television, published in like multiple countries and so forth. Yeah, for all the world to see. It was like, okay, that's what we call stretching. So good for you. And so tell me, okay, we'll get into the suicide prevention and the comedy and your topic about putting your money where your mouth is. We got a lot to cover in half an hour.
We do.
So tell me first, where and how and why did you become a comedian who speaks on suicide prevention?
Well, from the moment I went professional, which was the day after Christmas, 1985, I said to my girlfriend, by the way, that month, I'm going on the road to be a professional comedian. Do you want to come along for the ride? Figuring she'd go, oh, hell no. And she goes, yeah. So we gave up our apartment, our jobs, jumped into my tiny little Dodge Colts, and we were on the road together 2,629 nights in a row nonstop.
Wow.
7 years and change. But all that time, Jeanette, from the time I started professional, I wanted to make a living and a difference. I just had no idea how.
Right.
So during the recession, last one, 2008, 9, 10, we lost everything in a Chapter 7 bankers. And that's when I learned what the barrel of my gun tasted like, literally. Spoiler alert, I did not pull the trigger. And when speaking came back, meeting planners and speakers bureaus forced me to make a difference. They said, Frank, we can't pay you $5,000 US anymore just to be funny. You've got to teach the audience something. And I'm thinking, what? So I not bought a book. I got a book from a friend of mine, Judy Carter, Carter, called The Message of You, Turning Your Life into a Money-Making Speaking Career. She gave it to me. She goes, Frank, read it. You'll figure it out. I went into thinking I got nothing. And then I realized about halfway through, I do have something. Given my 2 mental illnesses near suicide and the fact there are more nuts in my family than in a squirrel turd, that I could keynote on suicide prevention if I got some training, and I did. I've taken several classes on suicide prevention.
Yeah.
The second hurdle was I've been a comic for 2.5 decades. Who's going to believe I could do anything serious? That's when I got my first TEDx in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Yes.
And proved to the meeting planners and the speakers bureaus I could do something serious, of course, with humor, not jokes, but funny personal anecdotes. Nothing to joke about. But that, and 2 TEDx's contacted me after the first one and said, do you have any more mental health topics? Oh, yeah. So that began my journey to 12, and I got my number 13 booked in November.
Right, which is I believe, a record. No one else has more talks than you, right?
Awesome. Nope, nobody.
And you're obviously continuing to do them to keep that record, keep ahead of the pack.
That's correct.
And so let's talk about TEDx Talks. How challenging are they to land? Because lots of people want them, right? How challenging are they to land, and what's the value in them? How did you leverage it? So you mentioned already, so credibility with meeting planners, but how else can you leverage it?
Well, second question first, leveraging it. You need to, it's great for credibility, visibility somewhat. Although, the mistake a lot of speakers make is it goes up on YouTube and the world's going to be the path to your door. No, it's, I don't know how many thousands of talks of a wide variety of videos go up on YouTube every day. So you have to leverage it. And that means you have to maximize its presence on your social media presence. You have to network with friends and colleagues who may have a large following on LinkedIn or connections or whatever, friends.
Mm-hmm.
So you really have to work hard to get it out there.
Mm-hmm.
I also my entire sizzle reel, which is like a highlight reel that you send to potential clients who may want to book you to speak, is just clips of my TEDx talk with music and graphics in 4 minutes 47 seconds.
Right.
By the time you get to the end of it, they've seen me on stage at 5 or 6 TEDx talks.
Okay.
So, but you really have to work hard. It's the world is not going to be the path to your door.
Mm-hmm.
And in my individual coaching and in the online coaching program I just created, which launches Saturday, there'll be module number 6 will be all about using the TEDx as a tool, branding. Brand yourself. All my talks are on mental illness, mental health, so that's building my brand. The entire module is on how do you leverage that, which is where most people fall down.
Right.
And I tell people honestly, I can't draw a straight line from a TEDx to a booking, but I have a feeling it gives me a bit of a leg up. Even one gives you a bit of a leg up on others. The gold standard of speaking
Mm-hmm.
gives you a leg up on other. If you're up against somebody same topic area and you got a TEDx and they don't, I'm a meeting planner. I'm probably going to go your way.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and TEDx talks are pretty rigorous in terms of the preparation and the structure and so forth. So what would you say to most people who are thinking of doing a TEDx talk to think about in terms of like the structure of it versus a regular keynote or a presentation or whatever? Like how much more difficult is it than regular keynotes that you do?
Well, keynote's 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Generally 50 minutes. Mark Twain, somebody asked him to speak way back in the day.
Yeah.
And he said, how long do you want me to speak? And the guy said 10 minutes. And Mark Twain said, give me a month. And he goes, a month? If you want me to speak for 45 or 50 minutes, I can do it tomorrow.
Yes.
But to distill it, and that's what one of the things I do for my clients is, I say, look, don't write a 18-minute talk. Write a talk. And then I will edit it back out. Everything doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
The trick is to find the applicational links, because TED doesn't make it easy. I think they do that to keep the number of people who apply down, because most TEDx talks get 100, 200, 300. Seattle TEDx gets 500 reportedly. So here's how your watchers, listeners can find links to apply. Type in Google TEDx applications 2024.
Okay.
And what you're looking for is not an official TED site, because if you click on like TEDx Nashville on the TED site, it'll take you to a page that tells you the date and the time and so forth. But there's not a link there to apply. What you have to do is, as you're Googling, look for TEDxNashville.com or TEDxLondon.co.uk. You want to find the actual website of the event you are hoping to apply for, because they put the link on the website.
Okay.
That's how yes. And if they've got a contact form, ask them, hey, when does the window open for application? If they've got a newsletter, an email newsletter, subscribe. So the next time the window opens, you'll probably get a couple of weeks notice, hey, we're going to start taking applications in 2 weeks.
Right.
So the first hurdle is to find the applications. Now, I would suggest you apply. People ask me, who gets TEDx talks that you work with? 100% of the people who come 2 or 3 times a month for the hour one-on-one that I do with everybody and apply to 3 to 6 TEDx talks a month have gotten a TEDx. One of my clients just got a second one today. Unfortunately, it's the day before the one she booked first, and there's no way to get from A to B.
Okay.
She's going to have to call and say, listen, I'm sorry, I've already booked it. It's Billings, Montana. You can't get from New Hampshire to Billings in the same day. It's just,
Yeah.
So yeah, but apply, because there's 200 in North America and 3,000 around the world.
Cool.
So.
Okay. And so also you talk about how to get on luxury cruise ships and be a speaker on cruise ships. And I know there's lots of people who are interested in that. So what's one of the secrets to that?
I would say type into your Google search this. Enrichment speakers, that's what they call them, enrichment speakers, how to, and the words cruise critic, spaces between all the words. Enrichment speakers, how to, cruise critic. because cruisecritic.com is a website, and they've got a great article on how to become an enrichment speaker. So soup to nuts. What are the topics that are popular? How do you get booked? And the way you get booked, by the way, it's because enrichment speakers pay is simply the cruise for you and a friend, and they fly you both back and forth. I have a talent agent for cruises. She makes 10% when I do comedy, but she doesn't represent enrichment speakers because 10% of nothing is nothing.
Right.
So you go to Google, read that article, and then go back to Google and type in cruise ship enrichment speakers agents. There's probably half a dozen of them out there. If they ask you for money, run like the wind.
Yeah.
Because they're akin to headhunters in the corporate world. The cruise lines are paying them to find you.
Okay.
So don't pay. Just try to do your best to get on the roster, on their roster, so they can recommend you to the cruise lines. Now, my clients, because Ritz-Carlton luxury cruises, they call them luxury yachts, not cruise ships, 300 to 500 passengers, not 3,000. All outside cabins, no inside cabins. Everybody's got a view. All suites, all inclusive. $10,000 per cabin per cruise for 7 days. They reached out to me because on LinkedIn, I often talk about how do you get booked on cruises. And so they said, would you submit entertainers? I said, no, but I'll connect you with my agent. Will you submit speakers? Absolutely. So my clients that I have for Make Money Speaking, I submit them. We go back and forth. What's a good idea? I have a client who used to own a tea room. She has 2 lectures, 45 minutes on tea, and she could do a tea tasting. And it turns out on those ships, they have tea time every day at 4, which is perfect. So that's kind of, or how do you talk to your millennial kids and your Gen Z grandkids? Things that would be of use or interest to people mid-30s to mid-60s who have money.
Right.
And somewhat interactive. So the Ritz-Carlton is something that I do. And I am hoping to get booked as a comic on just for a week, just to see how the other half lives.
Yep. Lovely. And so you also mentioned colleges, corporations, and associations. So what are some unique ways of getting in there? Because again, what we're talking about is the kind of the non-traditional route. A lot of times speakers will just reach out to an event planner or reach out directly to a corporation or an event or whatever. What do you advise for people when they want to reach to those markets?
I would look for college speaker agents, and they make 20%. A legitimate college speaker agency charges a commission, nothing up front. There is one out there. The word mogul is in the .com, and I'm sure that's not a scam, but they want 20,000. One of my clients sent me a Facebook message. Hey, Lee, this company says they can get me booked into Ivy League colleges to speak for 20 grand. And I said, well, the math doesn't work for me. There's only 8 Ivy League colleges.
Yeah.
And colleges only use a couple of speakers per semester. And there's only 8 Ivy League schools. So, I mean, unless you're representing just a handful of speakers. And, these are Ivy League colleges. I imagine speakers are banging on the door to speak at Harvard just for the credit on their resume, not a fee. So beware. There's a lot of sharks, not scams, but sharks in the speaking business. And I think what they're doing is they're over-promising and they're going to be under-delivering, and they're charging a ton of money for it. Exactly. So just beware. Also, there's something called predatory conferences. They're usually medical or scientific conferences overseas, and they look like real conferences where real people with medical experience and scientific experience, abstracts are published, would go. But here's how you know it's not legit. They don't pay a speaker fee. They don't pay your travel, but they will conveniently pay the fee for you to attend the conference. Predatory conference. Avoid them at all costs. Colleges. There are 2 college associations. NACA, National Association Campus Activities, NACA.org. And then APCA, Association, AP, Association Performing, APCA College. Oh, no, Association Promotion of College Activities, apca.com. You can self-represent. You can join either one of those and submit yourself to showcase, because that's what your agent will do. Your agent will submit you to showcase at one of 4 regionals or the national. And the reason I have an agent is because I didn't want to go direct to one of those organizations, because if you do, and if you get picked to speak your 15-minute showcase, you also have to rent a booth at the exhibit hall for 3 days and staff it for 3 days. And you have to chase college students for a contract, which is a sleigh ride through hell. I've tried it. So I would say find yourself a college agent. There's probably a dozen legit college agencies out there, college speaker agents.
Do colleges typically pay speaker fees, or do you speak for free when you're on college campuses?
No, my fee is $2,500, and that's kind of where it tops out for a non-celebrity speaker at colleges.
Okay, and so the kinds of topics that they're looking for, I'm assuming, is going to be something that's going to be relevant to these people who are coming out into the world. So something relevant to their education or to their career after their education, correct?
Yes, drug and alcohol awareness, date rape prevention, suicide prevention, and like I said, there's some career speakers. Building your brand before you leave college, kind of a thing. Yeah, it needs to be of interest to college students. And on the cruises, by the way, it's of interest, relatively light, interactive as possible. But college, they don't care about interactive. But yeah, something that college students would care about.
Yes. Yeah. Obviously, any audience you're in front of has to be really catered to them. And you need to be strategic in your business about who is your ideal client. Are they in that audience? You don't want to just get in front of an audience for the sake of getting in front of the audience. There's got to be value both ways. So how about associations and how the world has shifted now for professional speakers? Because it took a while to come back up after COVID. So is there anything that's different now after COVID in terms of being a professional speaker and getting booked?
Yes, and it's been a slow progression. COVID slowed it quite a bit, but before that, it was already in the 90s. If you were a professional speaker and had half a dozen keynotes, kind of a Jack or Jill of all trades, media planner would hire you to do one of your keynotes. Nowadays, it appears they want the expert or thought leader. If you go to my website, mentalhealthcomedian.com, you'll see nothing about TEDx. You'll see nothing about anything else that I do. It just says, are you looking for a suicide prevention speaker or a trainer? One thing. You go to my LinkedIn profile, all you'll see is how to make money speaking. That's all I talk about. If you came to my LinkedIn profile, unless you scroll down to where I've got a couple of my TED Talks, you wouldn't know I had anything to do with TED or suicide. And all my posts are on how to make money speaking, just educational. My 2 newsletters, how to make money speaking. The people I reach out to connect have speaker in their profile. So I believe nowadays, Jane Atkinson said this: pick a lane.
Yeah.
And you know what? It is hard to get speakers to do that, because if you pick a lane, it's called economic cost. You're not picking the other lanes where you might be making money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have to force them into a lane.
Yes, exactly. And the reality is, if you're all things to all people now, you're not trustworthy for bookers, because they want you to have deep credibility, deep knowledge, and add value. And if you're all things to all people, that's not the case in most cases.
Yes. And when somebody calls me, and what I did was, once I get them to pick a lane, then we pick 3 to 6 ideal client groups. Who has the problem you want to solve, and who's willing to pay you for it? In my case, it's the top 6 at-risk occupations for suicide. And like construction, 1,000 people die by accident every year. 5,000 die by suicide. You're 5 times more likely to jump off the building and fall off. So they've got a really serious problem. So when they call me, I don't have to convince them, hey, suicide prevention is a great idea. They know that. They're just trying to decide which suicide prevention speaker they're going to choose.
Right.
Because if you have more than one keynote, you're just a commodity in the speaking business. You're just just plug and play. And every now and then, it doesn't happen often, but the long game is when somebody decides to book a speaker on your topic, they don't want anybody. They come looking for you. And it's happened a few times in my career. where they say, no, we tracked you down. That's what you're after.
Yes.
Is that, yeah, that's the long game, is that they come looking for you. Built a reputation in those industries and as a suicide prevention speaker. So those are the first two things I do with my clients. What problem do you want to solve? Who has that problem and willing to pay you? And third, and most importantly, what associations do they belong to? Because several reasons. People pay to come to the conference. They got money to pay you. You're getting paid, but everybody in that audience has the same problem you're talking about.
Right.
I did an engagement in February. They decided last minute, into January, they wanted a suicide prevention speaker. Who are we going to get? One of the board of directors had been at my presentation 2 years before. Frank King, the mental health comedian. Okay, so when I did that 2 years before, I picked up 2 engagements that day from the audience. So I got $7,500 for the first one, $15,000 for the other 2. Between the other 2, so that's $22,500. And now I'm going to pick up another $7,500 from that. That one conference appearance made me $30,000 because it was an ideal client. I got paid to do it, and there were ideal clients in the audience, and my reputation proceeded.
Perfect. All right. And on that note, how important is it these days for a speaker to have a book? Because it used to be a credible calling card. Now everybody and their dog has a book, particularly with the proliferation of content coming out of AI. How much do meeting planners actually pay attention to that now?
I don't think, in the 90s, it had a great deal of cachet. But I mean, look at Amazon. Yeah. They've changed the world. I mean, how many speakers do you know that I've got a bestseller on? I've got 4 bestsellers on Amazon. We did 4 books on men's mental health, and each one was a bestseller in their category that first day.
Yes.
Somebody said, well, how long are you going to call yourself a best-selling author? Till the day I drop.
Yeah.
The benefit of a book, and I think a speaker should have one. I believe in marketing with a book and a keynote, is that when the meeting planner says, Frank, we don't have $7,500. We got $5,000. Well, do you have a budget for education or maybe a gift for everybody for a swag bag? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll sell you a book for everybody at a bulk rate, have them drop ship to the conference. So or I want a table at the back when I get done, and one of your staff members to run the credit card so I can autograph the books and chat up the audience. So it's a great way to make money. And some speakers say my fee is $7,500 and 100 books.
Yes. Yep.
I tell speakers you will sell many more books at conferences, either pre-sale or post-sale, than you'll ever sell on Amazon.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and you don't become a bestseller on Amazon by selling books one at a time. And so you've got to go where the mass sales are. Awesome, that's brilliant. Okay, so what's one mistake, before we wrap up, what's one mistake that you see most speakers who are making the leap into this more professional realm, who want to move into being paid professional speakers? They may be speaking for quite a while, largely free or low fee. They're just getting going with their fees. What's one big mistake that you see a lot of them making?
Well, a lot of my clients come to me and they say, I've been speaking for free. And I said, okay, first thing we need to change is you never speak for free. You speak for no fee, which implies you have a fee. 2, they go, how can I ask $5,000 for a keynote? Because that's where I tell them to start. I've never done a $5,000 keynote. How do I get $5,000 for a keynote? Okay, here's the secret. You ask them for it.
Yes.
Because at $5,000, some media planners won't book you for less than that because they think it's a hobby. $5,000 screams, A, you know what you're doing, and perceived value. You can always discount, and I teach my clients how to discount and get value for the discount, not just discount. And practice in the mirror, $5,000 plus travel, $5,000 plus travel, $5,000 plus. So when the meeting planner asks you, it rolls off your tongue.
Yes.
And the mistake they make oftentimes is, well, how much you charge? Well, I charge this much, which is less than $5,000. But it depends on the group, whether it's profit or nonprofit. How many people there are? I go, stop. I ask them what their budget is. Stop. Don't ask them budget. Tell them your fee.
Yes.
I don't care if it's profit, nonprofit, 12 people, 1,200 people. You have a fee.
Yes.
That's what you charge. People say, well, we're a nonprofit, Frank. Well, I'm not. If they want you, National Alliance of Mental Illness, Southwest Washington, the woman has seen me 3 times speak. She became executive director, wanted to have a kick-ass first event. Frank, I want you at that event. What do you charge? I said, are you sitting down? She said, yes. I said, it's $7,500. She said, and I quote, I'll get a grant.
Yes.
If they want you, if you've created that kind of value, then they'll find the money.
Yes, absolutely. Awesome. I love that. So how can people get in touch with you and find out more about your services and programs?
Well, I'm in witness protection, so that's why I'm in my car.
Yeah. You're literally running from the
Yeah.
mob as we speak.
Yes, if the marshals knew I was on, a podcast, they'd be horrified. Somebody might recognize the background and go, "I know where he is. That's Eugene, Oregon."
Yeah.
No, I've got a website called howtomakemoneyspeaking.com.
Okay.
And get this, Jeanette, I bought that this year. I was struggling to find a URL, and my wife, bless her heart, naively said, I thought naively, why don't you just do howtomakemoneyspeaking.com? I'm thinking, yeah, right. In 2024, that's available.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Boom, I got it.
I am
It's
shocked.
amazing that I was in shock. I thought there's no way. Maybe .net or .ai.
Yeah.
Nope, .com. So howtomakemoneyspeaking.com. Now the mental health is mentalhealthcomedian.com. And if you're a speaker, I would say go to one of those sites, mental health, and notice that you see one thing. And Jeanette, here's a pro tip. All the industries I work for,
Yeah.
I've got a landing page. So let's take construction.com/suicide-prevention-speakers-construction, because that's what the construction meeting planner is typing into Google. Suicide prevention speakers construction, and they land there, and they don't know that I do dentists and veterinarians and physicians. They
Yeah.
see exactly what they're looking for.
Yes. Awesome. That is a great pro tip. And especially the URLs so that it's searchable, so that it's the keywords that they're searching for. Brilliant. Not just a pretty face, Frank. And so
Thank you.
tell us about the gift that you have for people, your 5-star branding toolkit.
Yes. Again, I said, the problem with most TEDx talkers is they do the TEDx talk. This will help you use your TEDx talk as a branding tool. It's like 83 pages, I think. It's chock full of great branding advice. I'm sure there's social media and, like I said, networking with friends, family, colleagues, mentors, so forth and so on. So yeah, it should help if you have a TEDx. It would be, and you need your marketing plan, I believe, in place the day your TEDx posts on YouTube.
Okay.
Jump right on it. And if you can get people to watch it the first day, first 24 hours is very important to YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
The more people who watch it on the first day, the better, the farther you go up in the searches.
And so I'm assuming that some of these branding tips and driving traffic tips and so forth would apply to non-TEDx talks, but like other talks, is that true?
That is absolutely true. And the pick a lane and find your ideal client applies not just to speaking. Mm-hmm. I believe it applies to entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Because you find people that have a business, but they have these side hustles. I looked at the businesses in the Chamber of Commerce, picked out 2 completely different. One's an auto body shop, one guy owns 3 radio stations, both amazingly successful. And I thought, what do they have in common? And then it hit me. Both of them do one thing, and they do it better than anybody else.
Yes. Yep, absolutely. Tell people that all the time, and they just don't want to listen, do they? So, all right. So thank you so much. I appreciate not only the humor and the wisdom, but also really practical tips for people. And you can find Frank and his programs and his coaching and his courses at those 2 sites that he mentioned. So how to get paid for speaking, or how to get paid speaking? Say it again one more time.
It's even better than that, Jeanette. Howtomakemoneyspeaking.com.
Howtomakemoneyspeaking.com. Now they've thoroughly confused all of you. Howtomakemoneyspeaking.com. And you can go and get the 5-star branding toolkit using the URL that we'll put in the show notes or on our YouTube channel. I really appreciate you being here, Frank. Thank you so much. And we'll have another conversation another time about suicide prevention and some of the more serious topics. But I really appreciate you helping people get really practical about up-leveling their speaking, moving into the professional and paid speaking realms more concretely, and perhaps thinking about some new ways that you can get out there, be seen, be heard, and differentiate yourself with a TEDx or speaking on cruise ships, etc. That's a great intention to do that.
And as a friend of mine says, don't be a secret agent. You need, well, regardless of the business you're in, you need to build a local presence, regional presence or whatever. And by the way, if anybody says to you in a solicitation, in 90 days you'll be making 7 figures speaking, my clients often ask me, even before they sign up with me, well, how long? I say, well, it depends on who you ask. There's somebody out there doing 90 days and 7 figures, and it's a lie. It's going to take 18 to 24 months.
Yes.
I'm managing their expectations, and my coaching. Here's how much I believe that. When you sign up with me to coach, we work on getting your speaking career where you want it until you do, or we both die trying. There's no tail end on it.
That's very important.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's so many BS stories about write your book in a day and make $1 million on your first workshop or your first 3-day event, or become a professional paid speaker in 3 months. Please, people, use your heads, get a grip, give yourself a shake. No, and no. And do these people do it? Yeah, after they spent 5 years putting platforms and systems and processes in place so that they can make that $1 million in 3 days, by the way, which they've spent 1.1 making. So
Right.
You need to talk to some people who've been around to get a realistic perspective on this. All right, my friends, if you are interested in speaking, I would love you to go to the Facebook Purpose and Profit Facebook group and put in there, I'm a speaker. And I really want you to put what action steps you're taking based on this conversation with Frank today. What are you going to do that will move you forward in your speaking? Because he's given you lots of action steps you can take. And if you're not sure, then just put, what do I do next? And I will come and talk to you, or Frank will come and talk to you. We will give you some ideas. Getting into action, ladies and gentlemen. And it's not about theory. It's not about sitting around hoping and dreaming. It's about taking this action necessary to get yourself out there and in front of the people you want to be in front of so that you can make a difference.
And Jeanette, that's a graduate level piece of advice, because when you keynote, you want to give them, or TEDx, you want to give the audience the next logical step to take with the information you just gave them. I mean, you just did that.
Yes.
And it needs to be relatively simple, so anybody can do it. They go to Facebook and say, so that is a graduate level piece of work there, my friend.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I've been here around a little while, like you, that's one of the advantages of being 60 plus is you got shit. So thank you for being here, Frank. You're fun as always. And come on, everybody, take action. We'll see you soon on our next episode of the Purpose and Profit Sisterhood, and have a bodacious week. Bye all.